Hey there, it's JP Bailey, and I really wanted to do a live video, but I'm just going to have to work with what I got. So I was able to turn my laptop webcam on and take a couple of pictures in real time, but for some reason the video is just black. It just doesn't work. So I don't know. I'm not very techy. So let's just get into this anyway. The whole thing I've been planning to do is do videos to share my inner peace process to help people clear up stuck, intense emotions they're stuck in, like guilt for going no contact, regret, anger, sorrow, shame, loss, longing, revenge, lots of things. But I was going to start out with guilt today and just focus on that. So I'm basically, well, let me just start from the beginning a little bit. I'm JP Bailey. I am a mental health counselor, and I treat people with PTSD and complex trauma, among other things like depression and bipolar and other things. I'm also an energy psychology practitioner, so I do a lot of energy work, and I do a lot of NLP and somatic mindfulness, and that's how I developed the inner peace process. I'm also an author of the book Emotional Freedom Techniques for Codependency Recovery. So, that may tell you a little bit about me, that I kind of focus on toxic family stuff that carries over into relationships, like codependency. And now we have our complex PTSD or complex trauma to better explain what it is, we've been going through. So I'm looking at the complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Just realized that I keep saying Jeff Walker when I make posts, but no, it's Pete Walker. And he's famous for a couple of things, mainly the 13 steps on how to manage an emotional flashback, which I really like, except I'd add the inner peace process into those steps. But another thing I like is he talks about the reaction that we have to toxic family, which is to be codependent. But there's 4 different types of codependency. Either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So, you can do a lot there. You can go deep into one of those types and address the issues, that each type has. And the inner peace process will work on really anything, as long as you identify what it is. That's the first step always, is just identifying, saying exactly what it is. And then you might give it a score of 1 to 10, how bad it is. That always helps, so you can track your results. But anyway, I wanted to start with the stages of the, XYZ problem. So the problem could be the relationship problems, or the codependency problems, or the complex trauma problems. So here's the stages of how the problem builds up over time to where we get stuck and triggered into things like, guilt, things that are patterns, things that you're always getting triggered, kind of like a familiar feeling. So anyway, I'm looking at a book called The Solution for Safe, Healthy, and Permanent Weight Loss. And it's called The 6 Skills to End Weight Problems Without Diets or Drugs. Now, this is not about dieting and weight loss, but a lot of things she talks about in this book can really translate over to other problems, other problems than food. So, like stage 1, she says, is first we have few skills. We just don't have the skills to, protect our health and our happiness. We don't have the skills, the coping tools, or the skills to emotionally, regulate or clear up stuck patterns and change. So then stage 2 is that the distress starts mounting more and more because it's adding up. We don't have skills to deal with it, so the stress is adding up. And then stage 3 is where your balance is lost. Our inner life stops being a safe and soothing place. We lose our inner balance and begin to seek external solutions to the distress. So instead of going within like the inner peace process does, we look outside of ourselves with food or cigarettes or drugs or relationship, addiction type stuff. And then stage 4 is external solutions. So we are looking for external solutions to our distress, including overeating and inactivity, and then the weight problem develops. So translating that over would be that the things we reach for start adding more problems. So then she goes into the stages of how the problem is solved. So stage 5 is less distress. First, we use our tools to lessen the distress, and that's where the inner peace process comes in, because it's going to really help to bring down the intense charge of distress and emotional, reactiveness. And then stage 6 is more skills. So you're building skills, you're practicing, you're learning them, and learning how to go within. And then stage 7, balance is then restored. That balance that we lost starts to be restored again, and we start to feel that we can soothe ourselves and more secure and just more balance, internal balance. And then stage 5 is internal solutions. See, and this is why I'm into this book and others, is when they talk about going within. So external solutions are no longer necessary. Doing, external type activities are often balanced, and the problem decreases, and we stay within our healthy or wellness comfort zone rather than the distress building up and then using outside sources to try to self-medicate or heal it, which only leads to more problems. So first we got to learn the skills to get the distress down, and then we can have more balance, and then we'll have more inner peace, and then we'll be able to act better instead of just compulsively. So that's what I wanted to start it with, saying, the problem of complex PTSD and the stages and what's wrong and what's missing. So let's talk about the inner peace process. The first step of the inner peace process is to identify what the intense problem or feeling is. So, for example, I wanted to focus on the guilt. I hear a lot of people talking about this guilt. They just can't shake it when they go no contact. And basically when they're going no contact, they're doing self-care. They're taking care of themselves, and then guilt's triggered. So that's an old program, unconsciously. It's a program. We were programmed to feel guilty if we took care of ourselves, because that wasn't allowed. We were supposed to focus on someone else and take care of them. So the guilt, you want to talk about it until it starts to kind of upset you a little bit. This guilt I feel. You want to start to really feel it in your body. And that's the first question. That's the first main question, and then there's 5 other questions for the inner peace process. The first one being, where do you feel it in your body? Sometimes at that point, I'll ask the person to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, how distressful the guilt is, so that we have a number, so we can have a before and after comparison. So say you feel guilty for going no contact, and you just can't shake it, and you're, kind of gnawing your brain is gnawing on it. You can't even stop thinking about it. You can't relax. So say you want to say it's an 8 or a 9 or a 10. So now I am asking you where it is in your body. And for a lot of people, most commonly, it's in the chest, sometimes throat, sometimes neck, jaw, in the head, sometimes in the gut. Sometimes it's a vague sense of it's just all around me, like I'm inside of it. It really doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong answers to all the questions of the inner peace process. It's a process to help you go within, to attend to the subconscious part of you that's generating the guilt. And so we can communicate with it, actually. And that's what helps to heal the distress and collapse the pattern of it, and basically just have a relief. And then with a little bit more work, even completely resolve and heal it, basically. So after you feel it, let's say it's in your chest, I would say, first of all, what shape is it? And I just allow you to go within and just notice what comes up in your mind when you think, what shape is it? It could be a circle, a blob, a heart shape. And once you give me the answer, then I go to the next question, which is what color it is. And again, your brain is forced to go within to go find out what color it is. You're not trying to guess it or force it or come up with it consciously. You go within, take a look and notice. You get kind of quiet, you kind of wait, you pause a few seconds, and then you see, oh, I see it's like a red, with black or whatever. It can be anything. So then I say, okay, so how much does it weigh? And again, that helps bring you to go within even more to get a sense of weight. And then I ask what temperature it is. So you go within to kind of feel it, whether it's like a cool or warm, hot or cold. And then lastly, I ask you, what does it sound like? And that's where you really have to stop and just sort of listen and just see what kind of comes up. And all kinds of different things can come up with that, like a low humming, a rumbling, a dead silence, whatever. At that point, I tell the person to, use your imagination and just take that and put it into your left hand and just imagine it's there in your left hand, so that now we've divided it between self and a part of you that's generating a feeling, and we want to get a communication going. So the first thing we ask our left hand, the feeling that's in the left hand, are you willing to communicate with me? And you just pause to see what comes up, yay or nay. One or the other comes up. Sometimes maybe, I'll take that as a yay. So if it says no, we leave it alone, and then we start calling up some resources, some resource states. But if it says yes, then we say, oh, thank you. Now let me ask you a question. What do you want? And that's where you pause even longer to see what kind of comes up from that. And you can follow it up with asking, are you trying to help me in some way? And usually you get some kind of insightful answer. It basically tells you what it wants. And so that's important. That's the important first step. We need to know what is the intention of that subconscious part of us that's generating it. There's usually a positive intention, even though it's causing us a lot of grief and pain to have it be triggered and charged up. There's some good intention there. And then we go to the next step, which is calling up resource state. So I will do another video on that and continue on from where we're leaving off now, because I'm running out of time. But I hope I've explained that good enough where you can start following along with me in these videos, because this is an amazing, empowering, healing tool to learn. It's very easy and simple, just a matter of a few questions. so you can communicate with your own within.